I got it. Well, greetings to all of my wonderful change makers. We're here today to celebrate another wonderful change maker. And thank you, Miss Gina, for coming on in today and telling us all about you and what makes you so amazing.
Thank you, Cheyenne, for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here with you and getting the opportunity to share this. Where I'm from Amsterdam. I'm a health stylist. I work with people who have a traumatized health and close or bridge the gap to holistic bliss. And that can be a lot of different things because I work with gut health, hormones, food, stress, all these things, and I create a very customized working method for every person that knocks on my door.
Wow, wow, that's a mouthful right there. So what led you to going down this path? Why in the world are you so passionate about it?
Actually, it first started out as something that was more on the surface. That was in 2013. I had a spinal back injury. I could not walk. I could not do anything from one day to the next. While I was working out in the gym, I thought somebody give me a hit with a baseball bat. And when I looked behind me, there was not nobody there. So something broke in my back. There was a discus that was completely, um, I don't know how it was arthrosis, they thought, but this
Wow.
one disc is completely gone. It's completely away. So two vertebrae are on top of each other. So
Mm,
I could not do anything, and I was a massage therapist and a rehabilitation trainer. So I had to quit my practice from one day to the next.
mm,
And yeah, that was a bitter pill to swallow. And
mhm.
yeah, so my doctor said, "You're not able to work anymore. You just have to accept the fact that this is the end of your career." And I was like, "Really?" Because my back looked like an old lady's back from 90 years old, while I was just 42 at that point. And that was such a slap in my face that I was like, that's not going to happen. I did not come this far to now
Mm,
stop. It was the second time around that that happened. 10 years prior to that was with my lungs. I was like, okay, I'm going back to study. I'm going to do something completely different. So I started after a few months of rehabilitation. I started to do a study in vitality and stress and all these things. And I did a study what was supposed to take 3 years in 1 year, and I kept on
mm.
rolling with studying ever since. And
Wow. Wow. And obviously you are doing things, you are working. So, I mean, did this back situation, did it leave you in a lot of pain? I mean, how are you doing now?
yeah, actually, in the first year, the first few years, I had a lot of pain, and I was also in private situation, was a lot going on. So there was this survival mode that you get yourself into, and I got myself a dog, my accountability partner, my partner in crime, and I started to walk a lot and do different things. And because I had to train myself with the walking and getting out and all these things. So yeah, there was a lot of pain in the beginning, but you get used to pain when you're yeah, that's the way it is. Body gets used to the pain.
Mm,
It's also a mindset. You
yeah.
you focus on the things that you can do instead of the things that you can do. So at least for me.
Hmm.
And I started to study again. And so I had also had a lawsuit against my ex partner at that time. He There was a lot of private things going on. So there was a lot of adrenaline going in those years. So to be honest,
Mm.
but when that was resolved, that was in 2017, I think. I won the lawsuit, and finally I could get back on track with the rest of my life. And
Uh,
uh, and then I finally found out, like, hey, all these studies that I did is telling my story when I was young, and that's way more um, interesting than all the story that I just told, because eventually I was very traumatized in my youth, and I had all these chronic, unexplained health challenges. And at the age of 31, I had a viral infection on my lungs and a double pneumonia, and I nearly died. And
Mm.
after that, I was like, and now I'm going to find out what stress does to our body. What does trauma do to us? And that was my turning point. It took me quite some years after that to get my vision clear and leave things behind. And I left my hometown and moved to Amsterdam and start over. And that's now 19 years ago.
Wow. Wow. A powerful story. My goodness. So you're involved in lots of different healing modalities that I'm sure all work together in some way, shape, or form. Do you have a story you can share that other than your own, which is obviously a powerful one, but of how you've helped somebody using all of this different knowledge you've acquired?
Yeah, I've got one story that really is close to my heart. It's a young man. He was 27, 28, something like when he called me the first time. It was during COVID.
Hmm.
And he wants to gain weight. He said, Gina, I'm eating 5,000 kilocalories a day and I'm only losing weight. And he was a professional motorcycler. And we started a conversation. And then I soon found out how much garbage he was eating. And then within the same conversation, I found out he was also very traumatized. He had PTSD, all kinds of other mental and emotional struggles that he was enduring. And so we made a structure. I structured it all, and I had fibromyalgia, uh, all kind of different things which he did not know they were connected.
Mm.
So we started to work on his gut health, and in the meantime, and I never met him in person. I was all by phone,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah. So after 9 months, he completely got out of that cage he was in, and even now, all these years later, we sometimes have a chat or a messenger conversation. And
Mm.
he's still so grateful for everything you've done. I said, no, your willingness to change made that
Yes.
happen.
Wow. Wow. So in a case like that, can you just give us a little bit of an idea about what were some of those stepping stones? What were some of the things you did, you utilized to help move him through that healing process?
Yeah, first, we did an inventory about his food intake because he was so focused on calories instead of nutrition and
Mm.
nourishment. So I really had to guide him and coach him in more food knowledge and the food IQ. I call it always, like, what are you giving your body? What can your body do with the things that you're feeding it? So
Hmm.
that was one step. And when he gained that insight, then he was willing to change it. And then we did a lab, how do you say that? A functional lab test on his gut
Oh,
and his
okay.
blood
Hmm.
sugar. And so there came a lot of questions or answers for me from the lab work, because there was serious mold and all kinds of bad bacteria and parasites and all things that were actually causing a very bad dysbiosis in his gut. And that's what also
Mm.
prevent from making energy in his body. So his mitochondria were damaged, and
Mm.
so we had to restore that. So that was the biggest
Wow.
hurdle to take. But
Mm.
before you can do that, the body needs to repair in the gut to get the uh, how do you say it? Sometimes I forget my English words. Forgive me.
It's okay. You do a wonderful job.
To absorb the nutrients that you're giving it. So therefore, the stress levels need to be a little bit lower, and so the digestion works. So all these components play along.
Oh, absolutely. Is there a specific modality that you use to help people with the PTSD, the trauma?
It depends on which in which area they are, because I'm not a trauma or a PTSD therapist.
Okay.
But I do work with people. I'm a stress counselor, so I'm not. If people have on, um, how do you say that? Uh, they're still in the middle of it,
Uh-huh.
unprocessed,
Okay.
processed
Uh-huh.
trauma. Then I say, okay, I know this and that therapist. Let me make a call for you, and we do it hand in hand.
Okay.
So I will do the coaching also towards the trauma and the therapy that they're following, and
Hmm.
have people who are already out of the trauma situation that I can coach. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you actually have, sounds like you have a team around you.
Yeah, I have a lot of people I know and I connected with to 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 make sure that everybody gets the help they need.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Is your team more local or do you call on people from all over the world?
From all over the world because I work single as just me, but I have my connections. So and that's something that I really love because we are everywhere, you know.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Wow, amazing. Well, do you have some kind of big vision for the future of what you would like your work to produce in the future?
Yeah, my biggest vision is actually that everybody takes a little bit more responsibility to heal themselves so that we can stop the generational cycle of trauma because
Mm,
everybody is experiencing some way or the other um, the
true.
trauma from the past from other people.
Mm,
And I think if we got more awareness from that, and it's not a guilt trip or whatever, but it's more like we need to create more awareness globally on every
mm,
level of the lives that we are living. That there are a
mhm.
lot of trauma things going on, and that we,
Absolutely.
how do you say that? Given it, we have to stop giving it to the next generation.
Yeah, so we gotta stop the cycle, the transfer of it. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And it's tough. Now, do any of the people that you're working with, you referred to therapy and such, do any of the people that you work with help with trauma from, I would call it an energy level?
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do that online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
know certain people who do that. Yeah, and
Okay.
that's of course something that not everybody's open to that yet. I think
Right.
there are also a
Right.
lot of modalities, especially when and I'm not saying in Holland people are not that far yet, but it's kind of new for a lot of people. So online, the people I meet online are way more open to do those kind of work. Yeah, to receive it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. Wow. What's the toughest kind of client that you've ever worked with? Do you run into people who just aren't willing to do the work to create the change?
The hardest people are like, Gina, I want to change, but I don't want to change.
That's right. Don't make me do something different, right?
Oh, if I'm not allowed to do this, then what's the reason for living? Okay. What do you want? Do you want to die soon or do you want to get healthy? What do you want? You have a choice. Yeah, it's easy for you to say.
Mhm. But I think you just brought out a great point because I think there's a lot of people that would be well served at this point in time to be able to find a purpose that means something to them, right? Because when I hear those kinds of words, it's usually because they really can't think of a good reason to live for a long time, right?
Yeah, and that's also a beautiful entrance to start a conversation with somebody because I always let them talk and I'm very at ease and then I ask them that $1 million question, and then they open up and they share their things and eventually you get where you want to go just with a
Mhm.
little bit of sideways and you get there anyway. But you have to be open to listen and have this a little bit patient with some people.
Absolutely. It's true. It's true. I know, I find that because to me, that whole idea of having purpose and meaning and passion in your life is kind of at a spiritual level. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are just flat out confused about that spiritual component right now. I mean, what do you see when talking to people?
Yeah, it is, and it depends also which part of it, and that's also something in Holland. People are less with that busy with that because there is a part in the world like Holland. We are very much, at least where I grew up, not busy with religion and spirituality. I choose my own path in that.
Hmm.
I can also not share it with certain people because they will judge me for it. So you
Gotcha.
also it's also something you need to consider with certain people, that it's not always not willing. It's also a belief system or something they're afraid of, or yeah, they have to be ready for it.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. It's an interesting time we're in, and I'm a very faith-based person, but I'm absolutely in the space of, I'm here to honor and respect whatever the God of your understanding is.
Yeah, that's for me the same. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all good. Wow. Well, I love the work you're doing, Miss Gina, and I know you're making a positive impact in the world. And I know that as you continue to grow within the Bump family, you're going to reach and impact a whole lot more people. Do you have any final thoughts, final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with people today?
I always say, if something feels off, trust your gut and go on a quest and find your people who can help you. And if they can help you, somebody else can. They know.
Mm. I love that. Very wise words, very wise words. Trust your gut. And so many people don't even know how to do that anymore. But you will help guide them there, I have no doubt. So thank you so much for your time today. And thanks to all of our change makers who are tuning in and getting to know some of these wonderful healers that we've got in the group. I am encouraging collaboration amongst people. So I absolutely encourage people to listen and to read about these different folks and see if there is somebody who just resonates with you, that perhaps there's a way that you can come together and create an even more powerful solution for people than what we can do by ourselves. So thank you, Gina. I hope you have an
Thank
awesome
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Shia, and thank you.
All right. Bye bye, everybody.